The worst wounds rarely come from enemies. They come from the people you defended, trusted, and welcomed into your life without hesitation. When betrayal comes from someone you trusted, what is it really trying to teach you? In the next few minutes, you will understand why betrayal teaches lessons that loyalty never could. And once you understand it, you will never allow betrayal to destroy your peace again. Epictetus taught that suffering begins when you expect the world to behave according to your wishes instead of its nature. Human beings have changed very little since his time. Men still trust the wrong people, ignore warning signs, and confuse comfort with character. The Stoics never asked how to avoid betrayal. They asked how to become stronger because of it. 1. Betrayal reveals who people truly are. You have been there. You believed words. You trusted promises. You assumed loyalty because loyalty lived inside you. Then one decision exposed everything. The mask disappeared. The character underneath finally appeared. The Stoics called this perception. What it means for you is simple. Betrayal does not create character. It reveals it. The person who betrayed you did not suddenly change. You simply saw them clearly for the first time. But here is what most men never realize. 2. Blind trust is not wisdom. You were the man who ignored the small signs, the excuses, the inconsistencies, the uncomfortable feelings. You dismissed them because trust felt easier than truth. Then reality arrived. The Stoics called this voluntary blindness. What it means for you is that wisdom listens when intuition whispers. Most betrayals are not surprises. They are warnings you refuse to believe. And it gets worse because 3. Dependence makes betrayal more painful. The deeper your emotional dependence, the deeper the wound. You attached your happiness to another person's presence. You built your stability on something you could not control. When it disappeared, so did your peace. The Stoics called this attachment. What it means for you is that dependence always creates vulnerability. People cannot destroy what you never surrendered to them. The next point is the one men refuse to hear, but you need to. 4. Betrayal exposes your weakest boundaries. You tolerated things that should have ended sooner. You ignored disrespect. You accepted behavior you knew was wrong. Not because you were strong, because you feared losing the connection. The Stoics called this compromise of virtue. What it means for you is that weak boundaries invite painful lessons. Every betrayal passes through a boundary that should have existed. But here is what most men never realize. 5. Pain is a teacher few men appreciate. Most men focus on the wound. Very few focus on the lesson. The betrayal becomes an obsession. The wisdom becomes ignored. Yet years later, the lesson remains valuable while the pain becomes a memory. The Stoics called this transformation through adversity. What it means for you is that suffering becomes useful when it teaches. A painful lesson becomes an asset the moment you learn from it, and it gets worse because 6. Resentment keeps the betrayer alive. You replay the story. You imagine different outcomes. You argue with ghosts inside your mind. Meanwhile, the person who hurt you continues living. The Stoics called this self-inflicted suffering. What it means for you is that resentment extends the life of every wound. The betrayal ended long ago. The resentment keeps it alive. The next point is the one men refuse to hear, but you need to. 7. Your standards determine your future. After betrayal, men often lower their standards. They become desperate. They settle. They fear being alone. But wise men move differently. They raise standards instead. The Stoics called this discipline of choice. What it means for you is that every painful experience should improve your judgment. Betrayal is expensive. Do not waste the education it paid for. But here is what most men never realize. 8. Character matters more than charm. Many men are impressed by confidence. They are impressed by beauty. They are impressed by charisma. Then betrayal teaches what truly matters: character. The Stoics called this virtue. What it means for you is that charm attracts attention, but character deserves trust. The most dangerous people often arrive wrapped in qualities that impress you. And finally, 9. Betrayal can become your greatest advantage. Some men allow betrayal to make them bitter. Others allow it to make them wiser. One man spends years blaming, another spends years growing. Both experienced the same wound. Only one benefited from it. The Stoics called this choice. What it means for you is that every betrayal eventually becomes a crossroads. Your future is shaped less by the betrayal and more by your response to it. You thought betrayal was proof that people cannot be trusted, but the Stoics knew something different. Betrayal is not a lesson about other people. It is a lesson about yourself, your judgment, your boundaries, your attachments, your standards. The wound was never the final chapter. The understanding that follows it is. The man who understands this does not become cynical. He becomes observant. He does not become cold. He becomes disciplined. He does not spend years chasing revenge. He spends years building a life that no betrayal can destroy. He trusts more carefully, chooses more wisely, moves more deliberately. He becomes harder to manipulate, harder to deceive, harder to break. And that is enough. Save this for the night you feel like giving up. If this truth reached you, the next video will go deeper. What happens when a man finally stops seeking validation and starts building unshakable self-respect?